Yes, I'm definitely ready. Let's get it.
To be in this conversation is going to be a great conversation. We are talking about stored energy in the body and how to remove it. So thank you for those who are tapping in. Hey, Nate.
Hi, Q.
I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat today. Last week when we started the show, we started off by giving thanks. This week, I want everybody in the chat to do the same thing. Let's give thanks. Let's just take this moment to give thanks for a new day and with everything that is going on this month. As far as retrograde and the full moon, we had a full blue moon on top of that. I've seen that there has been several losses. Some of us have been stuck in the bed going through the spiritual shifts, understanding the pains in the bodies, the muscle aches, the back aches, the headaches, the neck aches, mental state up and down, crying, arguing, fighting, don't have the strength, just downright exhausted, right? Okay. Some of us are releasing toxic relationships. Kids back in school, acting up, talking back, baby mama drama, baby daddy drama. All of that good stuff. And if somebody just attempted to blow on us right now, all hell would break loose. And so instead of allowing that to trigger us and deal with it the old way, we're going to do this a different way. So I just want to say, you don't have to be strong. Thank you for coming in the chat. Thank you for coming. Everybody that's coming in the chat. Again, we are talking about that stored energy in the body. And again, you don't have to be strong. And it's okay not to be okay. Rest. Listen to your body. It is okay. It's okay to miss events and to focus on yourself and your health. If you don't feel like you have anybody to talk to yourself. You got a trillion cells that are listening. Begin to just speak life into yourself, okay? Oh my God, get out in nature, ground, scream, get that shit out, because it's better to get it out than to hold it in. Now that we understand, this is why we are constantly giving thanks today, because we were on the wake up list, the divinely protected list. And that's why I say I give thanks. So thank you all. And as we go, we're going to have people joining in. And I'm just so happy to be able to have my sister with us, Kamara. Thank you for joining us this rising.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this. This conversation is needed. So I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it definitely is. I want to say I'm ready. And you are live with Sheba, and I am Sheba. This is our new podcast that we've been doing for over a couple of months now. And this is just a safe space for people who are going through their transformation to be able to get in the chat and just to have somebody who resonates with their journey. So I'm just so grateful. The intention for the show today is to surrender to yourself and to deal with those healing traumas that we have embedded inside our bodies, right? Kamara, again, I want to thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about the trauma stored in the body and the different modalities to release it. But before we get started in this deep conversation, let the people know who you are, where you come from, and what it is that you do.
Okay, I'm Kamara Berkeley. I hail from the cosmos, Sirius X, but I am from many places. Wisconsin, I was in the military for 8 years, so I spent a lot of time in the South, Georgia, Mississippi, Virginia. Got out of the military in 2015 and moved to Los Angeles, where I stepped into my healing work. I worked for an NFL sports broadcaster named Jay Glazer at his gym called Unbreakable, which is where I learned the healing modality that releases emotional trauma from the body, and kind of created my own modality called psychosomatic bodywork. It's a branch off of, or a more aggressive form of, myofascial release. And it's just been transformative for my clients. They sometimes cry. I have a lot of my clients cry, have emotional releases. Some of them are like, why am I crying? You know, because they're not expecting it. And some of them laugh. That's another thing. Like, I've had really big name clients. One of my clients was Wiz Khalifa, and the way he would emotional release would be laughter. He would just laugh the whole session. So some people I found, like children who suppress their laughter, when they're in my sessions, they'll laugh during their emotional releases. So I jumped into that modality, and I've just really dedicated my life's work and to that, to helping people release emotions, pain, trauma, energy that's stuck in the body. And I've been doing that for about 7 years now.
Yes. I've just, I started my healing journey 7 years ago, going through my transformation. Didn't understand what was going on. It was really dark for me. I had just lost my father, and I was in a dark space. And being in that dark space, you're looking for anything that'll help you to calm, that feeling that you feel, that anxiety feeling, that stress feeling, that dark feeling where there's no light. And so I got into Reiki healing. I tried something called Reiki healing. Didn't know what it was at the time, but it was something kind of like, it reminded me something in church when the people used to lay hands on you. But with this, it was from a distance, and these ladies, beautiful ladies, took me in, and they began, because like I said, I felt like I was losing it. They took me in, they began to put their hands all over my body and just, move in a circular motion around my head down to my feet. And I didn't know, I guess it felt good for me at the time just to have somebody paying me attention. But as I was getting this work done, maybe a couple of times I went after that, I started realizing that things that I had forgot about in my past started to show up. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is going on? I have forgot about things that I had suffered from childhood abuse to, a lot of different other things. And it made me just have to reflect and say, man, I really did go through that. What made you want to work with people and help people on this journey when it comes to dealing with situations like that?
For me, it's the result. When I see the results and I have people crying on my table, or people telling me, you helped change my life, that is the most gratifying thing that I could ever, get from this work. So I would have people having flashbacks, like you said, memories popping up that they haven't dealt with, or that they just completely forgot. One time I was working on my shamana, and I was in this spot in her back, and she just kept saying, fuck that kid, fuck that kid. And this is my shamana.
Right, okay.
So I'm kind of like, okay. And I asked her after the session, I was like, what was that? And she was telling me, I completely forgotten about this, but when I was a child, this kid that used to bully me pushed me in the snow, and I hit my back on a corner.
Okay.
And she's like, that trauma was stored there. So being able to help people release things like that, women who have been raped have been on my table crying, releasing that energy. Every time we go in, we pull in a little bit more of it out. And the thing with the work is, it's ongoing, right? People think like, oh, I had one session, that's it. No, this is ongoing work. That trauma is stored in the fascia. And that's my focus. My focus is releasing the fascia, which is holding those memories, holding that trauma, because we're in pain because we're used to being in pain, but we don't have to be in pain is the thing. You can do these modalities and this work. So I'm just here. I feel like I work for God. So I'm here to help. I'm here to serve.
Again, that I'm so glad that you were able to reiterate that. And I want to say thank you to everybody who is joining us in the chat. This is a place also, this is a safe place for those who can't talk about these type of things with their families and their friends, and they've been experiencing this. This is a safe space to get in the chat and say, yes, I'm experiencing this. I'm going through this. I understand, and just be in the conversation with us. I like it to be authentic, so people, feel like they have a safe space to have a conversation. And today we have Miss Kamara here, and we're talking about that energy that is stored in the body and what happens when you begin to release that energy, that negative energy. And we talked about it. I've seen a couple of your videos, very powerful. And you even did a little, section of my shoulder and the knots. And you were like, this is emotions that's stored inside of you. We talk about the work, shadow work. That's one of the things that I kept, hearing in the beginning of my journey as well. What is shadow work to you?
For me, shadow work is going into those dark spaces that you don't want to deal with. That's the shame. A lot of people feel shame because of things that have happened to them. We're going to say to them, but really for them.
For them.
Because you may not even understand that something that's happening to you in this lifetime may be something that happened to you in another lifetime that you didn't get to heal from that lifetime. So now you have an opportunity, right? It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. You have an opportunity to go back and heal these things. And it's typically a similar situation from something from a past life. And it's like, what choice are you going to make? Are you going to hide from it? Are you going to bury yourself in it? That's the shadow, right? Going into that shadow. Or are you going to step into the light where it is fucking hard and painful and difficult? Yeah, it's not pretty at all.
And we talked about that, the work that you do. You said it was painful. And we talked about it the other night, how it was painful to get in there and it's painful to come out. And that's how you know that it's working. If you don't feel the pain coming out, that means you're not releasing it. It's still stored in there. And like you said, it takes... People don't understand. They think that they can go to one session and be like, oh yeah, I'm healed. And then a couple of months later, that same thing comes back up. It is a constant healing, repetitious thing that you have to do, because it took a while and it took a lot of pain for it to get stored in there. So it's going to take some time for it to get out. I'm getting ready to be 41. I say 41 years I've suffered from a lot of things. 41 years is going to take me to get those things out, and 41 more years for my ancestors, who I'm not only healing my trauma, but I'm also going back and healing their trauma. So it is a constant healing shadow work that we have to do on ourselves in order for us to be able to release those things that have been stuck in us over the years.
And you're not, and I want to add to that, you're not only healing your generational trauma, your ancestral trauma, for women and even men, because men carry the seed of life.
Right.
And women, we carry the egg of life, and we carry the egg of our daughter or our children, right? Our daughters, who are also carrying the eggs of their children. So we're healing at least the next 2 generations, as well as our ancestors. So it's needed.
Right. We talked about the emotional release, and I just got chills. I got chills watching your videos, because I seen, like, you just have this technique that you have, like, when you feel it right there, you release it. And the sounds, like you said, there were some people who were laughing, there were some people who were just crying, there were some people, that is how deep the work is. And I was just so touched. And we also talked about investing in your healing, why it is so important.
Let me talk about that. Let me talk about that, if I can, for a second.
Okay.
Out here, especially women, men, it's a little bit harder to get them to get to healing. It's like, come on, man, we need y'all to come on.
Right.
But with women, I'll have women that will tell me, my services are too much money, but you'll go spend $200 on your hair. You'll go spend $100 to get your nails done, and you're just covering up the shadows. You know, you're doing these external things, and you'll invest in that. But where's the investment into the things that we don't see, the things that we don't talk about, the things that we're carrying that's making our bodies dense, keeping us in this 3D energy, this third dimension. So yeah, it's like spend the money. Unfortunately, the healthcare system, you know, they're not paying for you. They're not covering these things for a reason. They need you to be sick. So it's like, yeah, you have to invest into your own healing, because only you can. Only you can.
Yes. I want to thank you guys for being in the chat with us. You are on I'm Ready Live with Sheepa, and we are talking about that stored trauma and the modalities we are using to be able to work on healing that constantly. And I have Miss Kamara here. So you guys, I just want to thank you for joining us. So we were talking about investing, you know, in your healing. And because like you said, people can have all the money in the world, they can have all the beautiful looks in the world, but if you go and get your hair done, if you go and you're working on your outer body, but you're not working on your inner body, that stuff that is stored in there, then what is the use of doing and spending all that money? Because you're never going to be happy. No matter how many times you look in the mirror, you're never going to be happy with yourself. So that investing in your healing should be number one on your list. So what are the different modalities? Because there's so many spiritual tools.
So I do want to say too, and this kind of ties into each other, that if it's cheap, it usually ain't it. It usually ain't. You know, a lot of people just want a cheap fix. Oh, I want to go get an $80 massage. Okay, they're gonna rub on you and rub lotion on you. And it's not gonna do anything. You know, when I go to healers, I know how good the work is gonna be by how they value the work that they do, by their price. So that's just a tip for y'all. If it's cheap, it's probably not really going to do the deep work that you need. You're gonna have to pay. Like I would pay my shamana $300 for a session, easy, because I know what I'm gonna get from it is going to help me so much further down the road. So different modalities. My modality is, you know, I may be biased, but I think it's one of the best. Like I said, it's called psychosomatic body work. It's a branch off in a deeper form of myofascial release. Acupuncture is a great one. Chiropractic, I like chiropractic, but you have to be very careful because I've had a lot of clients come to me and I have to fix things that went wrong during chiropractic. Reiki, past life regressions, going into past lives. So I want to tell a story really quick. There was a time I did also psychedelics. Psychedelics literally rearrange the cells, the memories in your body, things that are happening from past lives. So there was a time I did a psychedelic trip and I was with my spirit guide, and she was taking me from a past life into this lifetime. So in 2009, I was abducted and beaten by my boyfriend for hours because I wanted to break up with him. So she was taking me to a woman named Samantha, who was Peruvian, and she was locked in a cellar and she was constantly being beaten and raped by this man over and over. And then she would take me to 2009 and I'm back in my body being assaulted by this man again. And then she'd take me back to Samantha and take me back to 2009, and I'm going back and forth and I'm like, am I Samantha? And she said, you got it. She said, you couldn't escape that pain as Samantha, but you escaped it as Kamara. Let it go. She said, you did it. Let it go. And she also told me forgiveness and understanding. That's another thing, is we have to forgive the people that hurt us. And that can be so fucking hard. But what happened during that psychedelic journey is I was also able to go into his body, and I could see his system going haywire. And I could feel that even though he was hurting me, he didn't want to be hurting me. So she starts explaining to me, you were contracted with him for him to do this for you, not to you.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that's love. That sounds fucking crazy.
It sounds
but that's
crazy.
Love, right? That people come here to hurt us, to help us get through past life pain and trauma that the soul carries. Because we don't just have a physical body. We have an astral body. We have an emotional body. Right? We have all these different bodies, and we can't see all of them. We can only see the physical. Some people can see all of them, those very talented and gifted people. But we have many bodies, and our bodies carry these memories, this pain, this trauma. So forgiveness is a big part of releasing trauma.
Yes, it definitely is. And with you saying that, there were several situations where doing the work that I was doing, I had to step outside of myself, and forgive, see other people's life and see what they've been through and understand why they may have not been able to love me the way that I thought that they should love me. Knowing, going back in their childhood, just seeing how they were raised, like there was no way that you can possibly love me the way I needed you to love me, because look at your life. You didn't know, you didn't have it. And that's when we talk about like relationships. We get in relationships with people and we have this idea of what a relationship is supposed to look like. You're supposed to treat me like a princess, or you're supposed to cook, you're supposed to clean, and you ain't never in your life seen nobody treat anybody like that. So how do you expect, this person or yourself to be able to be that person if you don't do the work, if you don't figure it out on your own? Like, this doesn't feel good. Somewhere in here I have to break the cycle, and by breaking the cycle, that's when you begin to go on a search to figure out, how do I heal these things in my life that I didn't get, and it's such a beautiful thing when you start to ask the question that everybody should be asking: what are we really here to do? What is really the purpose? Once you start asking yourself that, that you're on the right track. That you're getting ready to go through this transformation. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that you can ask yourself on this journey is, what are we really here to do? So we're talking about all of the different modalities, from meditation to sound therapy to qigong to Reiki to, psychosomatic healing, rituals. What are some rituals, to burning? Rituals is something, it's not something that you do, when you're sitting at the table and you see, the witches getting together or whatever. It's something that you do constantly. What are some of the rituals that, people can do to help, rid of the trauma as well as doing the work?
So one of the main things that I suggest people do, because a lot of our trauma comes from our childhood. That's where a lot of it stems from. Not all of it. Right. Because we pick up traumas along the way dealing with humans who typically endure trauma in their childhood. Right. So one of the things that you can do is write letters to your inner child. Speak to your inner child. Again, this is another layer of the body that you can't see. So talk to your inner child. I've been doing a lot of inner child work lately, and it's been hell. It's been hell. But talk to your inner child. Well, wait, ask me the question again.
Some of the rituals.
Rituals we can do. Also, during the full moon, you see all the witches and even your favorite celebrities and politicians that they do rituals on full moons for a reason. It's because your emotional and mental energy is heightened. So what you think and you feel is heightened during a full moon, right? It's illuminated like the moon.
Right.
So you should use the opportunity of every full moon to manifest something, release something. It's even better if you understand the sign that the moon is in and what type of energy that sign brings to the full moon, right? What type of energy you're in. But doing full moon work, sitting and meditating, sitting with yourself. A lot of times we will try to escape, and people will try to always be busy or be around other people, when one of the main things you need to do is go in here, in your heart and in your mind.
Right.
What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What has conditioned me, and what are the patterns that I'm using to escape? I'm big on plant medicine. That's another ritual, and using it in a positive way, not using it as just pure escapism, because that boundary is a super thin line.
Right.
Working with the elementals, using the air, lighting your incense, lighting fire. I have a candle behind me lit.
Right.
I got water back there, a cup of water back there, and an incense going, right? Using the elements. So these are just some of the things that you can do ritualistically, right? You do them constantly. It's not a one-time thing. You should be constantly doing these things. And that's where your true magic is. A lot of times we've been taught that we aren't as magical and as powerful as we really are. We've given our power to everyone else our whole lives because we've been trained that way.
Right.
Oh, you are powerful. You are God too. You are an element of God, a piece of the creator. You are a creator. You are a creator and creation.
And that is one of the things, is that it's so crazy how we've been taught not to, connect with that. How when you hear that, people are just like, something ain't right about that. They're so quick to question who they are, instead of really just sitting with that. Like, how is that like possible? And that's one thing that I see here in Bali, is that every culture, it's okay for them to give to their ancestors and do their spiritual work. But when it comes to us, we are always like, no, I was told that wasn't, in alignment to God, and that wasn't. But why not? If you were of God and you were made in his image, why not? You know? So again, everybody in the chat, I want to thank you. This is a very deep conversation about doing that deep healing work, deep healing body work, to get rid of that childhood trauma, those traumas that we have stored in the body. And I just want to say thank you. You guys are live with Sheba. So thank you for coming in. We got Kamara in here. I see everybody that is joining us. And man, we are talking about the different modalities to help you on your journey. This is a safe space where people can get in and say, yes, sis, like I'm going through that, or I've been experiencing that. What do I need to do? Or this is what I've been doing, to help other people who are experiencing it. Because when I started my journey, I didn't hear too many people talking about, spiritual transformation and all of that. I was one of the first ones, in my family to go through that transformation. So I sounded crazy to a lot of people, like, y'all, this is happening. And and so going through, my transformation, I realized people need somebody that they can talk to, because there's some people right now that are sitting in a mental home because the family thought, okay, she lost it, but just going on this journey and accepting who I am and speaking. And now I am starting a podcast where I can help other people to be able to say, yes, you're right where you're supposed to be. There's nothing wrong with you. This is happening. You're going through this transformation, and it's for the betterment of the whole planet, not only for ourselves, but the whole planet. And to be chosen in this moment to be a part of that is the most beautiful gift that, for me, that I could ever have been granted. So I just always give thanks. I always give thanks.
It's the language of the universe. Gratitude.
Yes.
And what's interesting is, I think the healers are going to be the new leaders.
Yes, I am definitely ready. And you're live with Sheba.
Because a lot of people don't even think, again, that or know that they have these other bodies and emotional trauma stored in the body. Cry. That's another thing. Cry, for goodness sake. Cry. I don't know if the people in the chat, or even you, Sheba, if you've seen the recent Breakfast Club Tyrese interview where he cried like a baby. And I'm a Cancerian, so I cry almost every day. Okay, I cry even if I see something beautiful, I will cry.
Right.
But when you don't cry and you think you being tough, you being tough on your body. You're harming yourself. Crying water is cleansing. So when you feel like you need to cry, don't hold it in. Don't fight it. I had a client one time on the table. Her body was trying to have the emotional release, and she was literally going. And I said, release
Let it go.
It's safe here. Let it go. You know? And a lot of times men feel like they're being strong and powerful by not crying.
Right.
And you're tearing your body down. You wonder why you die before women do. You keeping
Holding
everything in. You think it's making you strong. And it's actually harming you. It's making you ill. That starts to go into your organs.
Right.
And make you sick. Because it's energy at its core. It's energy, and it has to go somewhere.
Right.
In the video that I sent you, I don't know if you can see, but I was also crying, right? Because I can feel my client's pain. I'll often start crying before they start crying, because as soon as I touch the area, I'm like, ooh,
it's overwhelming.
It's a lot there. But if I don't cry, guess what? That energy is going all into me.
Right.
And now I used to get sick after a session, and I would be dry heaving on the side of the road, literally vomiting after a session on the side of the road, have to stop my car on the way home, can't even make it home because I was carrying all of their pain. So now I let it go, and I use the breath.
Right.
I do a lot of breath work with my work. Yeah, it becomes toxic. It won't go away. And then you wonder why you're sick in a hospital bed, or why you always got a cold, or why you have these chronic issues. Well, you got to release some of that pain.
Right.
And one of the easiest ways is when it's happening in real time, cry about it.
Right. And like you were saying, we definitely didn't want to skip over that, because these things become knots in your body. They become blockages. They become cancer. They become diabetes. They become all of these things in your
arthritis.
Yeah, you know, exactly. Tasha says in the chat, stagnated energy and arthritis, and you know, all of these things, and we're wondering, where is this coming from? And that's another thing about Reiki, you know, like I said, that's another thing about Reiki that I noticed once I began to start doing that modality. I realized that I started to understand a little bit more about myself and who I was. So my blood started to flow, you know, to the places that, you know, have been blocked. And I'm just like, man, now I'm manifesting. If I speak something, then I'm manifested it into existence. And this is all, it's just so crazy. You know, you would think that it's so crazy, but how your body, you know, can cause you to be able to not manifest the things that you're supposed to be, or your divine purpose. You're trying all of these different things, you know, I think I want to do this, and I think I want to do this. But if you were doing that healing work, you would know who you are. You would know who you're supposed to be. So that's why it's very important that we are talking about this stored trauma. And yes, Tasha, again, she says your tears are from the form of release. Being able to cry, like you said, and get that stuff out of there. And a lot of people also, we were saying, I know in the beginning I was so hard up because first of all, I'm the oldest child. And so I always felt like I ain't got time to be sitting and crying. I got to be the strong one. I got to be and once I started falling apart and going through my stuff, I realized I can't cover this stuff up anymore. Like I've been sitting on pain for years that I never talked about. And now that it really hit me, I am finally having to face it and deal with it. So it's just so powerful understanding and investing in your healing work, what you can do and who you can become if you do that
Release
work.
these things. Yeah. When you talk about not talking, right, or not being able to talk about things that pain you or ail you, even if you just had a bad interaction, I want people to start doing this. When you can't speak, right, let's say something has just pissed you off, even it could be a short interaction with somebody, and you have to act a certain way, so you can't go off on this person, or you're in emotionally or physically, mentally abusive relationship with anybody. It could be your parents, because even as adults, our parents can inflict emotional and mental abuse on us.
Right.
When you can't talk to anybody about it, if you can't afford a therapist, I want y'all to start grabbing your phone, opening up your voice note, and talking.
Right.
Speak it. If you had a negative interaction with somebody and you wanted to cuss them out, but you couldn't, go cuss them out in the car, on your phone, on your voice note, because the throat chakra is one of the most blocked chakras. It's in the top 2.
Right.
You have to release that energy somehow. So just by doing something as simple as recording a voice note on your phone, you get to release it. At least it's not being stuck in there. And the throat, the shoulders, that's why a lot of people have pain in here. My neck hurts.
And the neck,
my shoulders hurt. Throat chakra energy.
Throat chakra.
Yep. So start doing a voice note and release it. You have to just get things out. Is the thing.
Right. So Tasha in the chat said God takes our tears and holds them close to his heart. She also says he tells us to cast our cares and our burdens onto him. And there is parent abuse also. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We were talking about that throat chakra and how very important, even that womb chakra. The
Screaming helps too.
Yes.
Screaming helps too.
It helps.
Yeah.
Get it out. That's what we said in the beginning. Yeah, I don't care if you got to go outside and scream. Get that stuff out. And we talked about right there, right then. Don't wait, months and months and be like, deal with it. No, deal with it right then. That way, that you're releasing it right when it happens. And then also things that trigger us. Know the triggers and know how once you start doing the work, things that used to bother you, I say this a lot, things that used to trigger you won't trigger you anymore, because now you're getting you're stepping into your power and you're understanding, again, like you were saying in the beginning, you doing these things to try to trigger me to see if I learn my lesson. You're doing these things, to see if you can rock me in a way that, used to rock me. And I don't feel like that anymore. It's crazy how people would say things to me and that would have probably hurt me, and now when I just walk away, you have nobody to go back and forth with you. And I feel like I am still in my power.
What's happening too with that energy when we don't let it out, like you said, in real time,
right?
It starts to move through the body and it finds a home. It's like, ooh, I'm gonna settle right by her shoulder blade.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And because you didn't let it out in real time, it's comfortable now. I'll have people, when I'm in their body, they may have a trigger point and a knot or a knot.
Okay.
And it will literally go boom against me and knock me out, push me out. It's comfortable there.
Right.
You didn't let it out in real time. So now it's found a home and it don't want to leave its home. It's very comfortable. It's going to fight me. So yeah, doing things in real time is so important. Right. Especially like when you're in a relationship, sometimes you just want to go off on your partner as much as you love them, but you can't. Like It's so important also to spend time alone, which we talked
Alone.
about too.
Right.
Spend time alone so that you can release those things.
Spiritual, but we have Quash. I hope I'm saying your name right.
Quashing.
In the chat, and he says we have to guard our mental by taking away the titles and don't allow anyone to not respect our boundaries. Oh yeah, boundaries are big. I was just having a conversation. Agreed. Yes. I was just having a conversation the other day, and I haven't talked to my kid's father in years, and so I learned with him, okay, to put a time limit. Okay, we got 5 seconds to have a conversation. Say whatever you have to say. And then because I know the longer we stay on that line, old feelings, he's going to trigger something, I'm going to trigger something in him, and then we're going to be talking about things that happened in the past. So when I started putting my boundaries up and saying, hey, give me what it is that you need to talk about, let's talk about it, and let's get off the phone, because healing is constant, and it only takes one thing to remind you, yes, I went through, I had that experience with you. And so, that's why we're saying investing in your healing, because you'll then know how to use those tools to, combat any kind of, things that try to come up against you. There was a movie called The Office Space, and the guy screamed, kicked, and stumped on the printer that had to release the negative feelings. Yes. So a lot of things you can use. There are a lot of things that you can do to release that negative energy. We also talked about dieting, the stuff that we put in our body, in our womb area, that causes blockages. And that is the first brain. Give us a little bit. What do you think about that womb area? You work on the womb area a lot.
Yeah, I do. A lot of women have trauma in the sacral area, in the sacral chakra. So typically, if you're having low back pain,
Right.
it's because of trauma from the sacral area. We don't even consider this as women. When you give birth to a child,
Right.
that is traumatic.
That is
a traumatic experience that we need healing from.
Right.
Right. So a lot of times when I work with new mothers, they'll have great releases in the sacral area because of the trauma. And the womb is so important. It is the portal, right? We hold this portal that connects people to the universe, right? It's how people come in through this portal. So when you start to do the healing work there, you'll actually start treating your portal better.
Right.
You'll start honoring your portal. You won't just let anybody in your portal. Do you deserve to be in this portal?
Right.
So the healing work will just make you better in these little ways that you may not even notice right away. Right? Once you start healing that, it's everything. You're going to show up different, and people are going to have to show up differently to you. Like Quashing said, respect my boundaries.
Respect my boundaries.
Yeah.
We definitely, when we're talking this, that's why I said this can go so deep. Some of us don't have. Okay.
Can I add this too? Not just women. Men gotta respect their sacral area. One of the gods that I work with, and he's actually the reason I'm here, is Lord Shiva.
Okay.
He brought me to Bali. The first time I met him, I had no idea who he was. I actually thought he was Buddha. I looked up at him. I said, "Are you Buddha?" And he said, "I am Shiva." But one of the things that he taught me in that time that I met him was about the seed of life. And he said, the men on your planet carry the seed of life. He said, but they don't respect their seed. They give their life force to the women and then wonder why women live longer than them. That is your soul. That's your life force. That's your sacred energy. And a lot of the men in our community have been taught and brainwashed to be whores. To sleep with as many women. You don't want to give every woman your seeds, your divine seeds. You better hold on to them seeds. How you gonna keep growing
exactly
and multiplying? you just giving your seeds away to anybody.
Right.
So then you got to also respect your sacral energy as well. Protect your sacral energy, because now you paying child support and you're stressed out and now your whole life is fucked up. You know what I mean?
That is so, that's why I say, like, doing that work, you understand how powerful you are in the agenda, why there's such a sexual agenda, because I have to say, our parents didn't have the tools. They didn't know. And so some of us were not taught correctly about sex and how in sex, being on I used to hear them say in church, unequally yoked, and I was like, what is that? What is that? But going on my journey, I realized somebody that is not on the same frequency with you, somebody who is not on the same frequency with you, who is vibrating, who is on that healing journey with you, they don't need to be inside of you. That is a low vibration energy. And so, like I said, we weren't taught how to use that sexual energy. And so over the years, you find yourself laying down with this one and laying down with this one and never really healing, but jumping into the next relationship. And so understanding, like you said, women, we are the connection, the portal between heaven and earth. And to allow people to keep, giving people your energy, let me say, use it correctly, but giving people your energy, allowing people inside of that womb, like, you are really destroying, your connection.
Your sacral chakra.
Yes, when you have people who are of a low vibration, that means, they're not where they need to be, and if you are a person who is, especially when you're in the knowing. I recall a time where I didn't know, but now that I know, I'll be like, I use my intuition. I'm able to say, no, you ain't right, bro. Because for me, I need to see you doing the work. Now you look good and all of that, and the sex was great, that don't even faze me no more. Where's your therapist at? What is your healing modalities? What are you doing, to heal yourself? That, when maybe get you to just, smell on me. But other than that, I just know my power now. And so to see that they have these artists that are coming out who are just talking about nothing but sex and back and all that, I'm just like, man,
it's a psyop.
Oh,
it's a trap.
Right.
It's a trap.
Right. And
your sexual energy is your creative energy.
Right.
What are you creating? Right? When you have sex, what is the point of it? What are you creating? What are you taking on and letting into you, and then creating from that?
Right.
So it's important to be careful with whose energy you allow into you, especially if you just letting somebody ejaculate into you. It's like, what are you taking on?
Hey, what are you? Yeah, because like you said, people have so much stored in them, and now you're out here and you're sleeping with everybody else, and now you taking on not just that person's energy, but you taking on everybody that person has been with energy. So now the stuff that you dealing with, now you're dealing with their stuff. And some people I have to say, have been through some things that I just be like, oh my God, I thought what I was going through was horrible. And to hear their stories, I'm like, wow, that's a lot. Hearing young men or, grown men talk about, molestation, and we never look at men and say, oh yeah, maybe you've been through this and this is the way, just hearing those stories as a woman, you're like, man, I see why you just feel so free with yourself, and every little booty out here, make you think, and taking back that power is so important on this journey, especially right now. Man.
You also may not even think that energy sticks with you. One time I went to do a session with my shamana, and as soon as I walked in, she said, "You had sex."
It's all over you.
She said, I can sense this man's energy all over you. She said he has a lot of, and she just started reading me.
Right,
He has a
right.
lot of trauma with his mother. She said, but you were his mother in a past life. That's why all he wants to do is be inside your womb. So we don't even realize, like, we
Right.
carry that person's energy. You know what I mean? Congratulations, Tasha, on 30 years of marriage. That's
Yes.
beautiful and something to be hopeful for and look forward to. So
Yes.
congratulations. I saw that earlier and I'm just like, congrats. That's beautiful.
Right.
But yeah,
That hit.
yeah, we carry that energy and we may not even realize it, but somebody who can see all the bodies, they
Right.
sense it all over you. Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely, like I said, this is a conversation that can continue to go on and really realizing, you know what, I have to take, my healing into my own hands. We can't blame our parents. When we were kids, we did childish things and, we blamed our parents for everything. But as adults, it's time to take our power back into our own hands and say, I'm doing this different. And by doing it different, you'll get to your healing work. You'll be the best version of yourself. We talk about traveling, and how traveling, opens up, different, what do you call it? It connects you with who you are, being alone, being by yourself, going through, different channels and spaces. You get to learn a lot about yourself. And that's what I love, like, about this journey. I love this journey, even though it hurts. Like I said, it's not easy. There are so many times, like I said, you see people and they're putting a smile on their face, but you don't know that they just came out, like you said, screaming somewhere like, God, take this pain away. But just releasing and knowing that I made it another day. And not only did I make it, but I got the lesson. And that's what it's all about. I grew from it and I glowed up, And I just, I'm so thankful again and so grateful to be able to share this. Thank you for everybody getting in the chat with us today. This is such an amazing conversation, and I'm so glad to have Kamara here with us talking about body work and, doing that deep healing in the body and things that come up, how to deal with them, how they face them head on, how to look in the mirror and say, first of all, accept and acknowledge, yes, this happened to me, and yes, this was my experience, but like you said, it happened to me for a great reason. A reason, if it never happened, then I wouldn't know who I am. I wouldn't know, what, this experience. So honoring yourself and honoring your journey and honoring, like you said, you were dealing with a situation where you had to go back and say, you know what, you were doing this for me. You weren't doing this to me, but you were doing it for me.
Crazy.
Yes. Yes. So Kamara, any last, things that you want to say about, that deep healing trauma?
Do the work. It's going to be painful. It's going to suck. I see fear in people's eyes sometimes when I tell them what can happen in a session with me. And some people are like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
But you'll be so much better for yourself. You'll be so much better for your partner. You'll be so much better for the collective. You'll be so much better for your children. And ultimately, you'll be so much better for God if you do that work. So don't be afraid to do the work. Don't be afraid to invest in the work. Okay? Don't be cheap about your healing. Don't be cheap about your healing. And I want people to take away the voice note thing. That's a big thing. When you can't speak, go by yourself and record it. Do a voice note so that you can clear the throat chakra and clear the energy. But yeah, get in touch with these healers. Get in touch with these healers and do the work. And if you can't afford it, then sit with yourself, meditate, ask yourself questions, write things down, do the rituals. Everything we talked about, like, go out and do it. We're not just talking about it. We're talking about it so that people can go out and then do these things. because you'll be a better person for it, and you'll be better for yourself.
Right.
You'll show up better, and it'll make the ascension of of humanity happen a bit faster, because I'm a bit impatient. I'm like, come on, y'all holding up the damn ascension process.
Right. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready. Like, get
I'm
ready.
ready. I'm
Yeah.
ready. Yes, definitely. She is worth every penny. Set your appointment. Believe you me. Quash is in the chat, and he is saying that is true. Also, I always, when I started this journey, just to go back just a little bit, there were so many spiritual gurus. Oh, I do this, and like Quash was saying earlier, everybody has a title. I'm a goddess this, or I'm a shaman this, or For me, when I am picking somebody, because I always believe you have to have a great therapist. I always feel like you have to have a great healer, whatever modalities they do. And I always feel like you always, you just have to have somebody who speaks inside of you, because even though we're healers need healers too. And I
Absolutely.
believe when you are picking a healer for yourself, that they are doing the work. They're not just talking about what they do, but you can see them. They're in alignment. They're, every day that they're on it, because you don't want people, they're so quick to say, hey, it's $800 for this. Is, when you're sitting here spending out your money, but nothing that they're doing is helping you. And so you need to learn how to use your intuition, discernment. And that's why meditation and doing those rituals and journaling and releasing is very important, because then you know how to use your intuition when dealing with people. You're not just selling me a bunch of bull and I'm giving you my money and there is no progress in my life. Again, that energy will have you, they not doing the work, and now you're feeling like, I'm off, just because I allowed you to pray over me, or to, give your energy to me. Now I'm not manifesting, I'm not being the person that I need to be. So I always say, when you're out and you're looking for a healer, make sure that the words, the actions align with their words. Don't just let people sell you anything.
Yeah.
Again, I appreciate everybody who joined us today in the chat. Like I said, years ago, I started on my spiritual transformation journey, and there was not too many places for outlets for people like us, people who were, not understanding what was going on with us, to be able to speak. And so being here in Bali, I am I'm in a flow. I don't know where I'm going to be next, but being here in Bali, doing my spiritual cleansing work, I was told to do this podcast, and I'm like, no, because of the traumas again that I had suffered. I'm really from the entertainment industry, but because I had went through so much, I blocked myself from speaking a lot. And people like, when you gonna get back on the stage? When you gonna do a podcast? When you gonna do something? And I wasn't ready. Those blockages, those things that I developed over the years, caused me to step back into the shadow. And so now that I'm here and I'm in Bali and I'm doing the work, staying in the water, cleansing, taking my spiritual baths, doing my meditation, all of a sudden I feel like those blockages are being released. And this is how we get the title of the show, I Am Ready. Now I can finally say I am ready. And every guest that we have had on the show has been divinely guided to this show. I don't know who's going to be next. I just know every week I run into somebody, I cross paths with somebody, and it's definitely in alignment to what God wants us to talk about. So I'm just so grateful to be able to say I'm ready. And like I said, this is a safe space for people to come and say, hey, I'm experiencing the same thing. Have a place to go to talk to people who are going through similar things, who can help guide you. And I always believe in, I don't know everything, but always being a student, always being able to receive something in here. So that's why I love when you guys get to talking in the chat, because you can give me something too, to help me along on my journey. So I'm ready. I am ready, and I'm just so glad. Thank you guys all for joining us. Thank you, Kamara. Let the people know where they can find you at and, get your services.
So My Instagram, I am Kamara Berkeley, is more my personal page, but you can find my work on underscore the healing culture.
Right.
It's a culture, right, that we're cultivating of
Right.
healing.
Right.
So it's the healing culture. And if you're in Bali, I'm here for, your healing needs. So I'm really just in Bali right now.
Right.
I've been here about 3 weeks. I made that transition. I was called here. But I'll be doing retreats later on. So you'll just see me posting about this stuff. I don't know if anyone knows who Chef Nikki is. She was Dave Chappelle. She's known for being Dave Chappelle's chef, but she's doing a retreat in Thailand coming up at the end of the year. I'm likely going to be a part of that. So yeah, just follow my Instagrams and either of my Instagrams. I am Kamara Berkeley or underscore the healing culture, and you'll see me post about where I'll be. I'm planning to travel around the world offering these services to people because everyone needs deep healing.
Right. They definitely do. And Soraya Rose says gratitude. Yes. Oh my God. This was a beautiful, beautiful session. And again, I thank you guys so much because without you, jumping in the chat, I wouldn't have a reason to do it, but I know that it's definitely in alignment. In the next couple of weeks, we will be putting up our website, so you can go on there and you can look for our services and our retreats that we are doing. We'll be doing a retreat. We're getting ready to go to Egypt in October. So if you are a last minute person and you want to experience Egypt and it's been on your list of things to do, we do have space. You can inbox me. We have a group of, I want to say 11 right now that will be headed into Egypt October 8th through the 21st, and you can sign up for 1 week. We do have that option for those of you that cannot take off for 2 weeks. Also, we have a retreat next year in Guadalupe. We have a retreat in Jamaica, thanks to Nate in the chat. So we'll be doing a lot of things, and we'll be putting up that website in the next couple of weeks. You'll see it go up, and any services like one-on-one session, healing consultations, over the phone, virtual Reiki, all of these things that you'll be able to get and be able to, talk to somebody who is really doing the work. So I'm glad to have you guys here. And I thank you once again, Kamara. You just gave so much information and just so in your divine light, and a real one recognize a real one.
Gratitude. Thank you for having me. This felt very aligned for me. Just us connecting and meeting is, again, we're working for God, so we got to pull them in one by one, and even if it's just one person that goes and does one of the things that we talked about, it's a win. It's a win for the collective.
Right. And so I just thank her once again. You guys, we are doing this every Thursday. Go on the link. The YouTube link is in the chat. Subscribe to the channel. Share it. Let's get this information out there to the people. Let's get more people involved. And again, I'm ready. You guys were ready. You were on point. Kamara was ready. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Yes, I'm definitely ready. Let's get it.